So I have heard. At one time, the Buddha was wandering in the land of the Kosalands together with a large S, a letter 1E45, GH, of 500 mendicants. When he arrived at a village of the Kosalan Brahmins named ICCH, a macron, and a letter 1E45G, a L. He stayed in a forest near ICCH, a macron, and a letter 1E45G, a L. 1. The section on Pokkharasāti Now. At that time, the Brahmin Pokkharasāti was living in UKK, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, a macron. It was a crown property given by King Pasenadi of Kosala, teeming with living creatures, full of hay, wood, water, and grain. A royal park endowed to a Brahmin, Pokkharasāti herd. It seems the ascetic Gotama, a Sakyan, gone forth from a Sakyan family, has arrived at ICCH, a macron, and a letter 1E45G, a L, and is staying in a forest nearby. He has this good reputation: that blessed one is perfected, a fully awakened Buddha, accomplished in knowledge and conduct, holy, knower of the world, supreme guide for those fit for training, teacher of gods and humans, awakened, blessed. He has realized with his own insight this world with its gods, maras, and divinities, this population with its ascetics and brahmins, gods and humans, and he makes it known to others. He proclaims a teaching that's good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good in the end, meaningful and well phrased, and he reveals a spiritual practice that's entirely full and pure. It's good to see such perfected ones. 2. The student, a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, a now. At that time, Pokkharasāti had a student named a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, as his resident pupil. He was one who recited and remembered the hymns, and had mastered in the 3 Vedas, together with their vocabularies and ritual performance, their phonology and word classification, and the testaments as 5th. He knew them word by word, and their grammar. He was well versed in cosmology and the marks of a great man. He had been authorized as a master in his own tutor's scriptural heritage of the 3 Vedas, with the words, "What I know, you know, and what you know, I know." Then Pokkharasāti addressed a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, Dear a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, the ascetic Gotama, a Sakyan, gone forth from a Sakyan family, has arrived at ICCH, a macron, and a letter 1E45G, a L, and is staying in a forest nearby. He has this good reputation. It's good to see such perfected ones. please, Dear MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H. Go to the ascetic Gotama and find out whether or not he lives up to his reputation. Through you, I shall learn about the worthy Gotama. But sir, how shall I find out whether or not the ascetic Gotama lives up to his reputation? Dear MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H. The 32 marks of a great man have been handed down in our hymns. A great man who possesses these has only 2 possible destinies, no other. If he stays at home, he becomes a king, a wheel-turning monarch, a just and principled king. His dominion extends to all 4 sides. He achieves stability in the country, and he possesses the 7 treasures. He has the following 7 treasures: the wheel, the elephant, the horse, the jewel, the woman, the householder, and the commander as the 7th treasure. He has over 1,000 sons who are valiant and heroic, crushing the armies of his enemies. After conquering this land girt by sea, he reigns by principle, without rod or sword. But if he goes forth from the lay life to homelessness, he becomes a perfected one, a fully awakened Buddha who has cast off the world's veil. But dear MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H. I am the one who gives the hymns, and you are the one who receives them. Yes, worthy sir, replied MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H. He rose from his seat, bowed, and respectfully circled Pokkharasāti. Keeping him to his right, he mounted a chariot drawn by mares, and together with several young students, set out for the forest near ICCH a Macron and a letter 1E45G a L. He went by carriage as far as the terrain allowed, then descended and entered the monastery on foot. At that time, several mendicants were walking mindfully in the open air. Then the student, a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H. went up to those mendicants and said, "Good fellows, where is the worthy Gotama at present? For we have come here to see him." Then those mendicants thought, "This MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, is from a well-known family, and he is the pupil of the well-known brahmin Pokkharasāti. The Buddha won't mind having a discussion together with such gentlemen." They said to a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, that's his dwelling, with the door closed. Approach it quietly, without hurrying. Go onto the porch, clear your throat, and knock on the door panel. The Buddha will open the door. So he approached the Buddha's dwelling, cleared his throat, and knocked on the door panel. And the Buddha opened the door. A MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H. And the young students entered the dwelling. The young students exchanged greetings with the Buddha. And when the greetings and polite conversation were over, sat down to one side. But while the Buddha was sitting, a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, spoke some polite words or other while walking around or standing. So the Buddha said to him, a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, is this how you hold a discussion with elderly and senior Brahmins, the tutors of tutors, walking around or standing while I'm sitting, speaking some polite words or other? 2.1. The first use of the word, primitives. No, worthy Gotama, for it is proper for one Brahmin to converse with another, while both are walking, standing, sitting, or lying down. But as to these shavelings, fake ascetics, primitives, black spawn from the feet of our kinsmen, I converse with them as I do with the worthy Gotama. But a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, you must have come here for some purpose. You should focus on that. Though this MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, is unqualified. He thinks he's qualified. What is that but lack of qualifications? When he said this, a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, became angry and upset with the Buddha. Because of being described as unqualified, he even attacked and badmouthed the Buddha himself, saying, the ascetic Gotama will be worsted. He said to the Buddha, worthy Gotama, the Sakyans are rude, harsh, touchy, and argumentative. Primitive they are, and primitive they remain. They don't honor, respect, revere, worship, or venerate Brahmins. It is neither proper nor appropriate that the Sakyans primitives, that they are, don't honor, respect, revere, worship, or venerate Brahmins. And that's how a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, denigrated the Sakyans with the word primitives for the first time. 2.2. The second use of the word primitives. But a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, how have the Sakyans wronged you? This one time, worthy Gotama, I went to Kapilavatthu on some business for my tutor, the Brahmin Pokkharasāti. I approached the Sakyans in their town hall. Now at that time, several Sakyans and Sakyan princes were sitting on high seats, poking each other with their fingers, giggling and playing together. In fact, they even presumed to giggle at me and didn't invite me to a seat. It is neither proper nor appropriate that the Sakyans primitives, that they are, don't honor, respect, revere, worship, or venerate Brahmins. And that's how a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, denigrated the Sakyans with the word primitives for the second time. 2.3. The third use of the word primitives. Even a little quail, a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60H, speaks as she likes in her own nest. Kapalavathu is the Sakyan's own place. A MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60H, it's not worthy of the venerable. A MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60H, to lose his temper over such a small thing. Worthy Gotama, there are these 4 classes: aristocrats, brahmins, peasants, and menials. 3 of these classes, aristocrats, peasants, and menials, in fact succeed only when serving the brahmins. It is neither proper nor appropriate that the Sakyans primitives, that they are, don't honor, respect, revere, worship, or venerate brahmins. And that's how a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60H, denigrated the Sakyans with the word primitives for the 3rd time. 2.4. The word son of a slave girl is used, then it occurred to the Buddha. This a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60H, puts the Sakyans down way too much by calling them primitives. Why don't I ask him about his own clan? So the Buddha said to him, what is your clan? A MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60H, I am a K, a letter 1E47H, a macron, Y a N, a worthy Gotama. But, recollecting the ancient name and clan of your mother and father, the Sakyans were the children of the masters, while you're descended from the son of a slave girl of the Sakyans. But the Sakyans regard King Okkāka as their grandfather. Once upon a time, King Okkāka, wishing to divert the royal succession to the son of his most beloved queen, banished the elder princes from the realm. Okkāka, K-A-R, a K, a letter 1E47, letter 1E0D, a Hathanika, and Sinasura, they made their home beside a lotus pond on the slopes of the Himalayas, where there was a large grove of I lang equals, pi translate equals, no Sakya / I trees. For fear of breaking their line of birth, they slept with their own. I lang equals pi translate equals no Saka / I sisters. Then King Okkāka addressed his ministers and counselors, where, sirs, have the princes settled now? Sire, there is a lotus pond on the slopes of the Himalayas, by a large grove of I lang equals, pi translate equals no Sakya / I trees. They've settled there for fear of breaking their line of birth. They are sleeping with their own sisters. Then a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60H, King Okkāka expressed this heartfelt sentiment. The princes are indeed Sakyans. The princes are indeed the best Sakyans. From that day on, the Sakyans were recognized, and he was their founder. Now King Okkāka had a slave girl named Disā, she gave birth to a boy named Black. When he was born, Black Boy said, "Wash me, mum, bathe me. Get this filth off of me. I will be useful for you." Whereas these days, when people see goblins, they recognize them as goblins. In those days, they recognized goblins as black boys. They said, "He spoke as soon as he was born. A black boy is born. A goblin is born." From that day on the K, a letter 1E47H, a macron Y, a N, a S were proclaimed, and he was their founder. That's how, recollecting the ancient name and clan of your mother and father, the Sakians were the children of the masters, while you're descended from the son of a slave girl of the Sakians. When he said this, those young students said to him, "Worthy Gotama, please don't put a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H a down too much, by calling him the son of a slave girl. He's well born, a gentleman learned, who enunciates well, and is astute. He is capable of debating with the worthy Gotama about this." So the Buddha said to them, "Well, young students, if you think that a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H is ill-born, not a gentleman, unlearned, a poor speaker, witless, and not capable of debating with me about this, then leave him aside, and you can debate with me. But if you think that he's well-born, a gentleman learned, who enunciates well, is astute, and is capable of debating with me about this, then you should stand aside and let him debate with me. He is capable of debating you. We will be silent, and let a M be a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, a debate with the worthy Gotama about this." So the Buddha said to a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, well, a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, there's a legitimate question that comes up. You won't like it, but you ought to answer anyway. If you fail to answer by dodging the issue, remaining silent, or leaving, your head will explode into 7 pieces right here. What do you think? A MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, according to what you have heard from elderly and senior Brahmins, the tutors of tutors, what is the origin of the K, a letter 1E47H, a macron, Y a N a S, and who is their founder? When he said this, a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, kept silent. For a second time, the Buddha put the question, and for a second time, a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, kept silent. So the Buddha said to him, "Answer now. A MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, now is not the time for silence. If someone fails to answer a legitimate question when asked 3 times by the Buddha, their head explodes into 7 pieces there. And then, now at that time, the spirit V a JIR, a P, a macron, letter 1E47, I macron, holding a massive iron spear, burning, blazing, and glowing, stood in the air above a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, a thinking. If this a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, a doesn't answer when asked a third time, I'll blow his head into 7 pieces there. And then both the Buddha and a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, a could see V, a JIR, a P, a macron, letter 1E47, I macron, a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, a was terrified, shocked, and awestruck, looking to the Buddha for shelter, asylum, and refuge. He sat down close by the Buddha and said, "What did you say? Please repeat the question." "What do you think?" A MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, according to what you have heard from elderly and senior Brahmins, the tutors of tutors, what is the origin of the K, a letter 1E47, H, a macron, Y, a N, a S, and who is their founder? I have heard, worthy Gotama, that it is just as you say. That's the origin of the K, a letter 1E47, H, a macron, Y, a N, a S, and that's who their founder is. 2.5. The discussion of a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, a S heritage. When he said this, those young students made an uproar. It turns out a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, a is ill-born, not a gentleman, son of a Sakian slave girl, and that the Sakians are sons of his masters, and it seems that the ascetic Gotama spoke only the truth, though we presumed to rebuke him. Then it occurred to the Buddha. These young students put a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, a down too much, by calling him the son of a slave girl. Why don't I get him out of this? So the Buddha said to the young students, "Young students, please don't put a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, a down too much, by calling him the son of a slave girl. That black boy was an eminent seer. He went to a southern country and memorized the divine spell. Then he approached King Okkāka and asked for the hand of his daughter, Madarupi. The king said to him, "Who the hell is this son of a slave girl to ask for the hand of my daughter?" Angry and upset, he fastened a razor-tipped arrow, but he wasn't able to either shoot it or to relax it. Then the ministers and counselors approached the seer black boy and said, "Spare the king, sir, spare him. The king will be safe, but if he shoots the arrow downwards, there will be an earthquake across the entire realm. Spare the king, sir, and spare the country. Both king and country will be safe, but if he shoots the arrow upwards, the heavens will not rain in the entire realm for 7 years. Spare the king, sir, spare the country, and let the heavens reign. Both king and country will be safe, and the heavens reign will reign. And if the king shoots the crown prince with an arrow, he will be safe and unruffled. So the ministers said to Okkāka, Okkāka must shoot the crown prince with an arrow. He will be safe and unruffled. So King Okkāka shot the crown prince with an arrow, and he was safe and unruffled. Then the king was terrified, shocked, and awestruck, scared by the divine punishment. He gave the hand of his daughter, Madharupi. Young students, please don't put a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, a down too much, by calling him the son of a slave girl. That black boy was an eminent seer. 3. The supremacy of the aristocrats. Then the Buddha addressed a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H. What do you think? A MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H. Suppose an aristocrat boy was to sleep with a brahmin girl, and they had a son. Would he receive a seat and water from the Brahmins? He would, worthy Gotama. And would the Brahmins feed him at an offering of food for ancestors, an offering of a dish of milk rice, a sacrifice, or a feast for guests? They would. And would the Brahmins teach him the hymns or not? They would. And would he be kept from the women or not? He would not. And would the aristocrats anoint him as king? No, worthy Gotama. Why is that? Because his maternity is unsuitable. What do you think? A MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H. Suppose a Brahmin boy was to sleep with an aristocrat girl, and they had a son. Would he receive a seat and water from the Brahmins? He would, worthy Gotama. And would the Brahmins feed him at an offering of food for ancestors, an offering of a dish of milk rice, a sacrifice, or a feast for guests? They would. And would the Brahmins teach him the hymns or not? They would. And would he be kept from the women or not? He would not. And would the aristocrats anoint him as king? No, worthy Gotama. Why is that? Because his paternity is unsuitable. And so, a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H. The aristocrats are superior, and the Brahmins inferior, whether comparing women with women or men with men. What do you think? A MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H. Suppose the Brahmins, for some reason, were to shave a Brahmin's head, inflict him with a sack of ashes, and banish him from the nation or the city. Would he receive a seat and water from the Brahmins? No, worthy Gotama. And would the Brahmins feed him at an offering of food for ancestors, an offering of a dish of milk rice, a sacrifice, or a feast for guests? No, worthy Gotama. And would the Brahmins teach him the hymns or not? No, worthy Gotama. And would he be kept from the women or not? He would be. What do you think? A M, B, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, A. Suppose the aristocrats, for some reason, were to shave an aristocrat's head, inflict him with a sack of ashes, and banish him from the nation or the city. He receive a seat and water from the Brahmins. He would, worthy Gotama, and would the Brahmins feed him at an offering of food for ancestors, an offering of a dish of milk rice, a sacrifice, or a feast for guests? They would. And would the Brahmins teach him the hymns or not? They would. And would he be kept from the women or not? He would not. At this point, a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60H, that aristocrat has reached rock bottom, with head shaven, inflicted with a sack of ashes, and banished from city or nation. Yet still the aristocrats are superior, and the Brahmins inferior. The divinity, SN, a letter 1E45, KUM, a macron R, also spoke this verse. The aristocrat is best among people who take clan as the standard, but one accomplished in knowledge and conduct is first among gods and humans. That verse was well sung by the divinity, SN, a letter 1E45, KUM, a macron R. Not poorly sung, well spoken, not poorly spoken, beneficial, not harmful. And it was approved by me, for I also say this: the aristocrat is best among people who take clan as the standard, but one accomplished in knowledge and conduct is first among gods and humans. The first recitation section for knowledge and conduct. But what, worthy Gotama, is that conduct? And what is that knowledge? A MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60H. In the supreme knowledge and conduct, there is no discussion of genealogy or clan or pride. You deserve me, or you don't deserve me. Wherever there is giving and taking in marriage, there is such discussion. Whoever is shackled to questions of genealogy, or clan, or pride, or to giving and taking in marriage, is far from the supreme knowledge and conduct. The realization of supreme knowledge and conduct occurs when you've given up such things. But what, worthy Gotama, is that conduct? And what is that knowledge? A MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60H. It's when a realized one arises in the world, perfected. A fully awakened Buddha, accomplished in knowledge and conduct, holy, knower of the world, supreme guide for those fit for training, teacher of gods and humans, awakened, blessed. He has realized with his own insight this world with its gods, maras, and divinities. This population with its ascetics and brahmins, gods and humans, and he makes it known to others. He proclaims a teaching that's good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good in the end, meaningful and well phrased, and he reveals a spiritual practice that's entirely full and pure. A householder hears that teaching, or a householder's child, or someone reborn in a good family. They gain faith in the realized one and reflect, quite secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unskillful qualities. They enter and remain in the first absorption. This pertains to their conduct. Furthermore, as the placing of the mind and keeping it connected are stilled, a mendicant enters and remains in the second absorption. This pertains to their conduct. Furthermore, with the fading away of rapture, they enter and remain in the third absorption. This pertains to their conduct. Furthermore, with the giving up of pleasure and pain and the disappearance of former happiness and sadness, they enter and remain in the fourth absorption. This pertains to their conduct. This is that conduct when their mind has become immersed in samadhi like this, purified, bright, flawless, rid of corruptions, pliable, workable, steady, and imperturbable. They project it and extend it toward knowledge and vision. This pertains to their knowledge. They understand there is nothing further for this place. This pertains to their knowledge. This is that knowledge. This mendicant is said to be accomplished in knowledge and also accomplished in conduct and also accomplished in knowledge and conduct. And a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H. There is no accomplishment in knowledge and conduct that is better or finer than this. 5. 4 causes of quitting. There are these 4 causes of quitting this supreme knowledge and conduct. What for? Firstly, take some ascetic or brahmin who, not managing to obtain this supreme knowledge and conduct, plunges into a wilderness region carrying their pack with a shoulder pole, thinking they will get by eating fallen fruit. In fact, they succeed only in serving someone accomplished in knowledge and conduct. This is the first cause of quitting this supreme knowledge and conduct. Furthermore, take some ascetic or brahmin who, not managing to obtain this supreme knowledge and conduct, or to get by eating fallen fruit, plunges into a wilderness region carrying a spade and basket, thinking they will get by eating tubers and fruit. In fact, they succeed only in serving someone accomplished in knowledge and conduct. This is the second cause of quitting this supreme knowledge and conduct. Furthermore, take some ascetic or brahmin who, not managing to obtain this supreme knowledge and conduct, or to get by eating fallen fruit, or to get by eating tubers and fruit, sets up a fire chamber in the neighborhood of a village or town, and dwells there, serving the sacred flame. In fact, they succeed only in serving someone accomplished in knowledge and conduct. This is the third cause of quitting this supreme knowledge and conduct. Furthermore, take some ascetic or brahmin who, not managing to obtain this supreme knowledge and conduct, or to get by eating fallen fruit, or to get by eating tubers and fruit, or to serve the sacred flame, sets up a four-doored fire chamber at the crossroads and dwells there, thinking, when an ascetic or brahmin comes from the four quarters, I will honor them as best I can. In fact, they succeed only in serving someone accomplished in knowledge and conduct. This is the fourth cause of quitting this supreme knowledge and conduct. These are the four causes of quitting this supreme knowledge and conduct. What do you think? A MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, Is this supreme knowledge and conduct seen in your own tradition? No, worthy Gotama, who am I and my tradition compared with the supreme knowledge and conduct? We are far from that. What do you think? A MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, Since you're not managing to obtain this supreme knowledge and conduct, have you, with your tradition, plunged into a wilderness region, carrying your pack with a shoulder pole, thinking you will get by eating fallen fruit? No, worthy Gotama. What do you think? A MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, Have you, with your tradition, plunged into a wilderness region, carrying a spade and basket, thinking you will get by eating tubers and fruit? No, worthy Gotama. What do you think? A MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, Have you, with your tradition, set up a fire chamber in the neighborhood of a village or town, and dwelt there, serving the sacred flame? No, worthy Gotama. What do you think? A MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, Have you, with your tradition, set up a four-doored fire chamber at the crossroads and dwelt there, thinking, when an ascetic or brahmin comes from the four quarters, I will honor them as best I can? No, worthy Gotama. So you, with your tradition, are not only inferior to the supreme knowledge and conduct, you are even inferior to the four causes of quitting the supreme knowledge and conduct. But you have been told this by your tutor, the Brahmin Pokkharasāti. Who are these shavelings? Fake ascetics, primitives, black spawn from the feet of our kinsmen, compared with conversation with the Brahmins of the three knowledges. Yet he himself has not even fulfilled one of the quittings. See a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, how your tutor Pokkharasāti has wronged you. 6. Being like the seers of the past Pokkharasāti lives, often endowment provided by King Pasenadi of Kosala, but the king won't even grant him an audience face to face. When he consults, he does so behind a curtain. Why wouldn't the king grant a face-to-face audience with someone who'd receive his legitimate presentation of food. C, a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60. H, how your tutor, Pokkharasāti, has wronged you. What do you think? A MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60. H, suppose King Pasenadi was holding consultations with warrior chiefs or chieftains while sitting on an elephant's neck or on horseback, or while standing on the mat in a chariot, and suppose he'd get down from that place and stand aside. Then along would come a worker or their bondservant who'd stand in the same place and continue the consultation. This is what King Pasenadi says, and this too is what the king says. Though he spoke the king's words and gave the king's advice, does that qualify him to be the king or the king's minister? No, worthy Gotama. In the same way, a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60H, the ancient seers of the Brahmins were a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, Hk of Vamaka, Vamidva, Vesamita, Yamadegi, a letter 1E45, G I macron R a S, a Bharadvaja, V a macron, S E letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H a Kassapa, and Bagu. They were the authors and propagators of the hymns. Their hymnal was sung and propagated and compiled in ancient times, and these days Brahmins continue to sing and chant it, chanting what was chanted and teaching what was taught. You might imagine that, since you've learned their hymns by heart in your own tradition, that makes you a seer or someone on the path to becoming a seer. But that is not possible. What do you think? A MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, according to what you have heard from elderly and senior Brahmins, the tutors of tutors, did those ancient Brahmin seers, nicely bathed and anointed, with hair and beard dressed, bedecked with jewels, earrings, and bracelets, dressed in white, amuse themselves, supplied and provided with the 5 kinds of sensual stimulation, like you do today in your tradition? No, worthy Gotama, did they eat boiled fine rice, garnished with clean meat, with the dark grains picked out, served with many soups and sauces, like you do today in your tradition? No, worthy Gotama, did they amuse themselves with girls wearing thongs that show off their curves, like you do today in your tradition? No, worthy Gotama, did they drive about in chariots drawn by mares with plaited manes, whipping and lashing them onward with long goads, like you do today in your tradition? No, worthy Gotama, did they get men with long swords to guard them in fortresses with moats dug and barriers in place, like you do today in your tradition? No, worthy Gotama. So, a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, in your own tradition, you are neither seer nor someone on the path to becoming a seer. Whoever has any doubt or uncertainty about me, let them ask me and I will clear up their doubts with my answer. 7. Seeing the 2 marks, then the Buddha came out of his dwelling and proceeded to begin walking mindfully. And a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, a did likewise. Then, while walking beside the Buddha, a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, a scrutinized his body for the 32 marks of a great man. He saw all of them except for 2, which he had doubts about, whether the private parts are sheathed in a foreskin, and the largeness of the tongue. Then it occurred to the Buddha, this student, a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H sees all the marks except for 2, which he has doubts about, whether the private parts are sheathed in a foreskin, and the largeness of the tongue. Then the Buddha used his psychic power to will that a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, would see his private parts sheathed in a foreskin, and he stuck out his tongue and stroked back and forth on his ear holes and nostrils, and covered his entire forehead with his tongue. Then a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, a thought. The ascetic Gotama possesses the 32 marks completely, lacking none. He said to the Buddha, well now, sir, I must go. I have many duties and much to do. Please, a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, go at your convenience. Then a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, mounted his chariot drawn by mares and left. Now at that time, the Brahmin Pokkharasāti had come out from Okkāka, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, a macron together with a large group of Brahmins, and was sitting in his own park, just waiting for a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H. Then a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, entered the park. He went by carriage as far as the terrain allowed, then descended and approached the Brahmin Pokkharasāti on foot. He bowed and sat down to one side, and Pokkharasāti said to him, I hope, dear MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, you saw the worthy Gotama. I saw him, sir. Well, does he live up to his reputation or not? He does, sir. The worthy Gotama possesses the 32 marks completely, lacking none. And did you have some discussion with him? I did. And what kind of discussion did you have with him? Then a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, informed Pokkharasāti of all they had discussed. Then Pokkharasāti said to a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, oh, our bloody fake scholar, our fake learned man, who pretends to be proficient in the 3 Vedas, a man who behaves like this ought, when their body breaks up after death, to be reborn in a place of loss. A bad place, the underworld, hell. It's only because you repeatedly attacked the worthy Gotama, like that he kept bringing up charges against us. Angry and upset, he kicked a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H over, and wanted to go and see the Buddha right away. 8. Pokkharasāti visits the Buddha. Then those Brahmins said to Pokkharasāti, "It's much too late to visit the ascetic Gotama today. You can visit him tomorrow." So Pokkharasāti had delicious, fresh, and cooked foods prepared in his own home. Then he mounted a carriage, and with attendants carrying torches, set out from Okkāka, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H a macron, for the forest near ICCH a macron, N a letter 1E45, G a L. He went by carriage as far as the terrain allowed, then descended and entered the monastery on foot. He went up to the Buddha and exchanged greetings with him. When the greetings and polite conversation were over, he sat down to one side and said to the Buddha, "Master Gotama, has my resident pupil, the student a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H come here?" "Yes, he has, Brahmin." "And did you have some discussion with him?" "I did." "And what kind of discussion did you have with him?" Then the Buddha informed Pokkharasāti of all they had discussed. Then Pokkharasāti said to the Buddha, "A MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, is a fool, worthy Gotama. Please forgive him. May the student, a MB, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H be happy, Brahmin." Then Pokkharasāti scrutinized the Buddha's body for the 32 marks of a great man. He saw all of them except for 2, which he had doubts about, whether the private parts are sheathed in a foreskin, and the largeness of the tongue. Then it occurred to the Buddha, Pokkharasāti sees all the marks except for 2, which he has doubts about, whether the private parts are sheathed in a foreskin, and the largeness of the tongue. Then the Buddha used his psychic power to will that Pokkharasāti would see his private parts sheathed in a foreskin, and he stuck out his tongue and stroked back and forth on his ear holes and nostrils, and covered his entire forehead with his tongue. Pokkharasāti thought, the ascetic Gotama possesses the 32 marks completely, lacking none. He said to the Buddha, with the worthy Gotama together with the mendicant S, a letter 1E45 GH, a please accept today's meal from me. The Buddha consented with silence. Then, knowing that the Buddha had consented, Pokkharasāti announced the time to him. "It's time, worthy Gotama. The meal is ready." Then the Buddha robed up in the morning, and taking his bowl and robe, went to the home of Pokkharasāti together with the mendicant S, a letter 1E45GH, where he sat on the seat spread out. Then Pokkharasāti served and satisfied the Buddha with his own hands with delicious fresh and cooked foods, while his young students served the S, a letter 1E45GH. When the Buddha had eaten and washed his hand and bowl, Pokkharasāti took a low seat and sat to one side. Then the Buddha taught him step by step, with a talk on giving, ethical conduct, and heaven. He explained the drawbacks of sensual pleasures, so sordid and corrupt, and the benefit of renunciation. And when the Buddha knew that Pokkharasāti's mind was ready, pliable, rid of hindrances, elated, and confident, he explained the special teaching of the Buddhas, suffering, its origin, its cessation, and the path, just as a clean cloth rid of stains would properly absorb dye. In that very seat, the stainless, immaculate vision of the Dhamma arose in the Brahmin Pokkharasāti. Everything that is liable to arise is liable to cease. 9. Pokkharasāti declares himself a lay follower. Then Pokkharasāti saw, attained, understood, and fathomed the Dhamma. He went beyond doubt, got rid of indecision, and became self-assured and independent of others regarding the teacher's instructions. He said to the Buddha, "Excellent, worthy Gotama, excellent," as if he were writing the overturned, or revealing the hidden, or pointing out the path to the lost, or lighting a lamp in the dark, so people with clear eyes can see what's there. Just so has the worthy Gotama made the teaching clear in many ways. Together with my children, wives, retinue, and ministers, I go for refuge to the worthy Gotama, to the teaching, and to the mendicant S, a letter 1E45GH. From this day forth, may the worthy Gotama remember me as a lay follower who has gone for refuge for life, just as the worthy Gotama visits other devoted families in UK, a letter 1E60, letter 1E60, H, a macron. May he visit mine. The Brahmin boys and girls there will bow to you, rise in your presence, give you a seat and water, and gain confidence in their hearts. That will be for their lasting welfare and happiness. That's nice of you to say, householder,